Hi, everybody. Jack O'Malley here in Lansing, wrapping up the legislative week, and it's been a long 3.5 days. We did a lot of budget stuff this week, and I'll talk about the budget here in a minute. So it is. I'm doing this at a little after 5. I'll post it for a little after 6 here today. So it's been a long day. Just enjoying a little coffee too here before I point the buggy north and head home to Mrs. O'Malley. So just a few things. Today started off in a kind of a nice way. Senator Kurt Vanderwall and I were honored, along with other senators and representatives from around the state. The Michigan Historic Preservation Awards were given. I believe the number was to 7 different sites across the state, but 2 of them were in the 101st, Northwest Michigan. And we were honored to be able to speak and congratulate the folks at Orchard Beach State Park in Manistee. They moved that historic building to get it out of harm's way and allow it to be preserved. A beautiful endeavor and a great thing. And then the other was for Fishtown in Leland. And I spoke to Fishtown, and Senator Vanderwall spoke to Orchard Beach State Park. And I commented that as I've watched the news and seen how they have worked to save and preserve Fishtown, a couple of thoughts. One, it reminded me of the old Johnny Cash song where, how high is the water, mama, 4 feet high and rising. It was right in the middle of all of this preservation work, and they were trying to move things in. Our high water situation hit, and they had to deal with that too. So, there's so much history in Michigan, and we think about our lumber and our rail and, of course, automobile, but our coastal communities and our maritime are so very important. So Fishtown in Leland is great because not only is it a cool place to go with great shops, but when a young person walks there for the first time and they say, what are these old buildings for? We can talk to them about our maritime heritage here in the Great Lakes State. So congratulations to Fishtown and to Orchard Beach State Park for their State Historic Preservation Awards today. It's prestigious, and there's only a few places each year that receive it. So congratulations again. All right. I had to laugh. This article is out of the Gongwer News Service. Gongwer is a multiple state company, but they basically are, Lansing based, in this case, political news. And I'm reading this article today, and I'm like, okay, yeah, or maybe it was yesterday. And, there's my name. So this article said that, followed the story that the Unemployment Insurance Agency has said they will not seek the return of approximately $431 million in overpayments of federal pandemic unemployment benefits from more than 55,000 claimants. It was announced yesterday. The UIA said in a news release that it has waived over $4.3 billion in overpayment debt for more than 400,000 claimants so far. Now, here's the thing. They have said that you will be receiving a letter saying, you got a letter that said you owe. I sent a letter last month that asked UIA Director Julia Dale to send a clarifying letter to people who were off the hook. And UIA is going to do it, and they are sending those letters out now. So I appreciate Julia Dale. She is a person who has been put in charge of a ship that is full of holes. And I think previous directors have some splaining to do, but I know she's doing her best. So I hope that she succeeds and that we're able to get the UIA squared away. And our oversight committee is working on some legislation after listening to all this testimony, hearing all these Auditor General reports, how we can move forward. And it's a slow process because you want to get it right. You don't want to be just knee-jerk, and if you write legislation, you got to make sure that it works and that it makes sense. At least that's how the theory works. have this too. I'm sorry. I was kind of putting all my notes together here at the last minute, so I want to make sure I got it all. This I just thought was a side note that I was very interesting as we work and proceed during a bit of a worker shortage, right? This is good news, especially for my district that needs summer employment. The Department of Technology Management and Budget is saying they forecast that employment of teens between the ages of 16 and 19 will grow this year. An additional 35 to 40,000 teenagers are forecasted to join the workforce this summer. That's good news because they're part of what disappeared during the pandemic. So that's good news. All right, I'm going to save the budget for last. This is a bill that is being discussed, and it's something I've touched on in the past. I think it's important. There is discussion. Right now, there are all sorts of ballot proposals out there right now, or attempted ballot proposals. They're out getting signatures and that sort of thing. Well, one of those efforts is a bill that would extend term limits a little bit, et cetera, et cetera. Well, there's a thought that, look, what if the House and the Senate were to approve, which is we can put something on a ballot with a 2/3 majority vote, then it goes to the people and the people decide. What if we were to put out a ballot proposal that says, all right, here's what we will do and what we're proposing. So again, more as this goes, right now this is just in the talk stages. It hasn't proceeded per se, but I want you to know about what's going on. Now, I know the gentleman who kind of spearheaded term limits, I can't remember his name, and I apologize for that. I can look it up and find it. But he keeps saying, oh, you can't change term limits. That's just foolish, et cetera, et cetera. Well, I would argue to that gentleman, with due respect, you put in term limits, the most restrictive in the country. Can't you understand where after 30 years, we need to take a look and adjust it slightly? Are you, sir, so arrogant to think that you got it so perfect 30 years ago that it doesn't need an adjustment? Because right now, I will tell you, 3 2-year terms, 2 4-year terms in the Senate, you're just getting things done and you got to leave. And that institutional knowledge, that experience goes out the door. The bureaucrat, the person in the department stays and they can wait you out. It's happening. It happens. So this bill would say that you can have 12 years. Right now, if you serve your 6 and your 8, if you're able to, that's 14 years. So this would cut term limits actually by 2 years. It would say you can be here 12 years, but you can serve it any way you want. You can be in the House, you can be in the Senate. I could stay in the House of Representatives for 12 years. That allows for that knowledge to stay. It slows the turnover, doesn't eliminate, it slows the turnover. Doesn't mean everybody's going to stay for 12 years, right? Maybe they'll be here for two terms, 3 terms, 4 terms, then they're gone. It extends it. And it also then allows for, let's say, pick as chair of transportation, there's things I want to try and get done, like funding for local roads. Well, if I'm lucky, I get 1 more term and then I'm gone. And it takes time to get all this done. So this proposal would have financial disclosure, much like the federal House of Representatives and Senate. There would be a financial disclosure piece. If this moves forward, I'll give you more detail, but know that it's a 2-part thing. Financial disclosure, which Michigan doesn't have right now, and extending term limits to 12 years, serve them any way you want. So that's a discussion that's going on here right now, and the idea would be we would put it 2/3. So now somebody right now, oh no, you're going to vote yourself extended term limits. That's wrong. No, we would say 2/3 vote. We will put it on the ballot, and the people can decide. So that's the only way to change the Constitution, is let the people decide. So just know that's being discussed, so that if you hear your legislator or you hear something in the news about it, or you follow me and I bring it back up, if it comes back up, that's being discussed. So I want you to know about it. We need to extend term limits for the prosperity of this state for many, many reasons. And of course, financial disclosure comes along. All right, I've been yapping a lot. I want to get to the budget. So here's another thing about the budget. The Senate is passing out their version. The House is passing out their version. Governor Whitmer has her version. So I'm going to read some things here and tell you what the House is trying to do. But that doesn't mean it's a done deal, because now we have to go to conference committee, and the House and the Senate and the governor sit down and talk it through, and then those discussions are had. But this week, here's what the House budget says, is we have set up money. There's room for $1 billion in tax cuts. That's substantial. I'm not saying that's happening right now, because we got to go into conference committee, right? And figure it out with the Senate and the governor. But we've set aside $1 billion for tax cuts. In education, we're bumping the per pupil foundation allowance to $9,000. We've allotted $500 million for teacher recruitment and retention, $300 million for school safety initiatives, $300 million for special education and rural transportation resources, and $100 million for lost learning recovery. That's in our budget. Also, which I think is important from a transportation standpoint, and I got to thank my colleagues, Representative Scott Van Single, who is the chair of the Transportation Appropriations Committee, $6.8 billion in our transportation fund. That's up about $1 billion. Now, that doesn't include monies coming from the feds in the infrastructure plan. This is just our dollars. It would also include an investment of $750 million into our local roads. That's huge. We have to get more funds to our local roads. The state roads, between the bonding the governor did a couple of years ago and this $2 billion a year for the next 4 or 5 years from the feds, our state roads, our M roads, our U.S. freeways, they're going to be in great shape. They got plenty of money. It's our local roads. Good job, Chair Van Single, for $750 million. Also, workforce and economic development, $30 million to help new businesses and entrepreneurs. Also, improvements for apprenticeship programs, $4.8 million. That's huge. We've got to get our trades. We've got to get, one of the things I was talking to some education folks this week, I want to change, and it's actually one of those crazy things that'd be very hard to do because it's in our Constitution, but I'd like to change the definition, at least the working definition, of higher education. Universities like to say, well, higher education. We're higher education. Well, I would say anything after high school is higher education. If you are getting an apprentice degree, a job, if you are learning a skill or a trade, that's higher education. And we need to respect all higher education, not just that at the place with the good football team. Anything after high school where you are learning more and enhancing what you do is higher education. The other thing our budget does is, and I think this is important. We've got a lot of money because of COVID and all of that. Pay down our debt. There'll be $4 billion to reduce local school and governments, all those legacy costs and retirement costs and things that are there. $4 billion to that, and $770+ million into our rainy day and our school stabilization fund. And one other thing that I want to mention that's in our budget, in the DHHS budget, which is part of our adoption and foster care task force. I am a huge proponent of adoption, and I think that is a part of our discussion that has been forgotten. And I have a legislation that would allow for a bit of a kiss, if you will, for if an employer grants paid time off for an adoption, and it would be a $4,000 maximum cap on their 12-week salary, whatever that would be, and so on and so forth. So I'm really proud that bill is out there. It should move next week, and I'll keep you informed on that. But adoption is so very important, as is all our foster care issues too. All All right, I'm going long. Lots happening this week and more to happen next week. So I'll keep you informed. Have a great weekend. Looks like our weather is finally coming around. So that's a good thing. All right. Thank you very much. I'm honored to be your representative for the 101st. And again, if you want to call the office for any reason or email us, go to repomalley.com, repomalley.com for all our contact information. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.